see what we've got. Woo. Let's stay here and see if anybody joins us. See if anybody comes in. Takes over about 30 seconds, I think, for anybody to connect. So let's see how we're going before I try another stream. Let's see how we're going. It's not looking very good, is it, guys? Because there is absolutely nobody on this stream at the moment. So we'll give it to a minute, and then I think, the numbers are coming. So that's 55 seconds this time. 55 seconds. Let's see if the chat works. Hello. Thank you, Claire. Thank you. What I will try and do is when we've got our hiya guys, when we've got a few more people on board, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can actually get and change the calendar, because unfortunately I'm having issues, as always with Streamlabs. It's a known issue. They haven't fixed it. It's completely out of my control. So there's not much I can do about it, unfortunately. If everybody could just stay on this stream while I try and update the link in the calendar, that would be very helpful. Tish, if you've got buffering, I'm afraid I'm not sure what to do about that, because it should be absolutely fine at my end. So what I'm going to do is change the calendar link. If you can just stay here for me. Oh, very exciting. Right, let's go back. Let's now go back to Streamlabs. And are we here? Because I think I have managed to update the link on the calendar. So that should mean that Claire's updating links in the wrong stream, or rather the stream that should be. I've updated the calendar, so that should work. And yeah, not much I can do. So I'm going to say hello to people, because that's what I do. Right, so we've got hello Claire, hello Ronnie, hello Ginny, hello Mike, hello Margaret, hello Anne, hello Tish, hello Catherine. Now it's the challenge of remembering who I said hello to. Hello Susan, hello Sue. I think, have I done everybody? Have I done everybody? So let's have a wander along, shall we? We're starting to get this into a fine art of recognising that the published stream link won't work until Streamlabs sorts out their there is somebody live, it's me. Of course, what we have got is lots of chat messages coming through all at the same time, so that's interesting. Right, I'm going to have to move past. Don't want to film a little person, so bear with me. So there's very much a close-up of my face at the moment, which I apologise about, but what I might do is flip flip the camera in a minute because we're only in the pre-live. Look at the greenness of the grass. Look at the greenness. Isn't it fabulous? Unfortunately, if my green was grass, no, that's wrong. If my grass was green, that would be very nice indeed. But I appear to have more brown grass. Oh, thank you, Spanner. Hello, Trista. Did anybody come along while I was trying to avoid small people? And by small people, I of course mean children, not literally those that are not quite as tall as other people. So you're going to have a look at bushes just because it's far easier for me to walk along and show you bushes than it is showing me and having people that shouldn't really be on the stream behind me. There's a dog with an absolutely massive stick. I'm going to see if I can show you that. Hello, Casey. Oh. Now, I'm sorry, but goodness gracious me, that's a stick and a half. That's the sort of thing you'd have the dog trying to go through the door and suddenly smack. So go on then, what time is it across the pond, guys? It's 6 minutes to 2 here in the county of Kent. And I say it like that, but actually, I've just walked in mud. I should really look more where I'm going. To be fair, it's that time across the whole of Britain. We're not on different time zones like you complicated people. It's almost 9 a.m. in the east coast of the USA. 9 a.m. Let me do some very quick calculations. So you're 5 hours behind. 5 hours behind. Hello, Rose. Look at the sky. I know some of you are sky fans. I mean, to be fair, we're all fairly much, you know, the sky's fairly important. We do want skies. But look at those. Well, no, it's not plural, is it? Skies? Skies? There's only one sky? You can see a bird? Well, I'm sure you can see several. I'll be honest, Mike. I've actually taken my glasses off and put them in the glasses case because I have absolutely trashed them on these tours. And, I mean, to be fair, they're pretty bad already. And can't see a thing, of course. I can read the chat. What I would say is it is rather breezy. So I've tucked you under my scarf. So let me know if it's a little bit on the muffled side. If it's a little bit on the windy side, there is nothing that I can do about it except for not stand in exposed spots, which is what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm going to trundle along like a trundly thing. You can hear me very clearly. Is it as if I was in the same room, Tish? It was meant to be a gentle breeze, but I would disagree with the description of the word gentle. The colours on this are quite fabulous, aren't they? That's like a ginger. Look at that. I would say that's a ginger. We've got 3 minutes till we go live, although I'm already showing you my wares. I decided my wares are better than my face. Ah, see, the dog agreed with me. That's marvellous. And something very sad coming up. Look at those little glimpses you get of the lakes. Yes, there's no need to agree with me quite so emphatically. And that is that. Oh, hello doggy, yes, yes. Look at that balloon. The balloon, it's such a shame. Because those can land in, whose birthday have I missed? Those can land in fields and horses and cattle can chew on them and end up dying. No, hello Dawn. So it would be a very large Christmas bauble, Tish. Oh, it's Lethargy's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Claire. Do we say Lethargy? Happy birthday to you. We've got 1 minute. Please do blow out the candles now. Of course, this is all going to be premiered, this tour, on Wednesday, because I appreciate it's jolly early for some people, or right in the middle of the day, and so everybody's going to be wishing you another happy birthday. And unfortunately I will be singing again because it will be the same recording. So then chaps, here we are back in Leybourne Lakes. For those of you who joined me last time, you lucky chaps, this is your second visit. For those of you who didn't join me before, this is your first visit. Whoopity-doo. And of course what we have here is we have a completely different season, or indeed a completely different month. So we are in December, and it's really interesting to see the differences between the trees and of course the masses of leaves, which are very slippery underfoot. I'm going to be talking about two things today. I'm going to be talking to you about ducks, and I'm also going to be talking to you about cars. One is a personal story, one is just information. I'm afraid I do not have any pet ducks, but I have no intention of having any pet ducks, mainly because I do have pet cats. So I'm going to flip the camera, and we're just going to have a nice amble round. Look at these beautiful views. And last time I came, it was later in the day. Of course, if I came back later in the day, what would happen? It would be dark and you would see not a thing. So unfortunately, there are more peoplies today than there were last time. So it will be an interesting juggling to avoid said peoplies. Oops, I do apologise. My bag has fallen off my shoulder, so I have a logistical issue of putting it back on. I have a strong suspicion the bag will be falling off my shoulder the entire tour. So I could wrap it over my neck, but that would probably be slightly painful. So, can I zoom onto the ducks? Well, Mike, I could zoom onto the ducks, but the problem is if I do that, it is very likely that I will end up trashing the entire stream. So what I'm going to say is that I'm very much hopeful that we're going to be able to see ducks close up. Unfortunately, I do not trust this technology, and I cannot risk losing the stream, because then all of you will have to run around like headless ducks. Did you see what I did there? Thank you very much for sharing my payment links. As you know, as guides, we are all self-employed and we rely on the generosity of your tippy tips. If you could like the video, that also works really well on the whole algorithm malarkey. And you can see there should also be some more of the bird type creatures round here. Oh, the satchel idea is quite a good one actually, Lethargy. Now, why didn't that occur to me? Here's a swan. We're going to go up really close and personal and hope it's not vicious. Unfortunately, it's a brilliant idea. However, oh, Lord in heaven, they're all coming for me all at once. The handles aren't long enough. Hello, babies. Come to Mama. Look at your little white face. Oh, yes, you've got a lovely little face. You have got a lovely little face, haven't you? Oh, look at these. Now, of course, the trouble is they all think I've got food and I don't. Hello? Do you know it'd be one way to go, Trista? Would it be on my stone? She was nibbled to death by duckies. Yes, indeed. They've been at the bleach, these ones, haven't they? So we're just going to sit here while we're looking at these little birdies. Are those little ones behind the coots? What are they? I haven't got my glasses on. Somebody's got better bird knowledge than me. Are they female coots as opposed to... they're black-headed... Oh, whatever. Thank you, Mike. Everybody read the chat. Mike said what they were. Now, let's talk about ducks, shall we? There's over 130 species of ducks worldwide. I've stood up too quickly, all the blood's rushed to my head, and I might face plant. Bear with me. Whew. Now, although there's 130 species of ducks worldwide, there's actually only 22 species in the UK. That in itself is quite astonishing because I don't think I've seen many. Now, ducks can be found in the sea water and fresh water, but probably not in bath water unless you've done something very silly. Now, a duckling is a young duck in downy plumage, and then it graduates to becoming, if it's a male, it will be a drake. If it's a female, either a hen or a duck. So a duck is a duck. Now, ducks are found on every continent except Antarctica. And you've got two kinds. You have dabbling ducks, and dabbling ducks feed on the surface of water or on land, or as deep as they can reach without fully submerging. So basically when you see the duck disappear, but you can still see part of the body present, that's a dabbling duck. It likes to dabble in its duckness. However, you have diving ducks and your sea ducks, which forage deep underwater. Now, they are heavier, and because of course they're heavier, they have more difficulty taking off to fly. So they probably need a longer runway. Not sure if they're dribbling ducks. I think you just have those that dabble, those that dive. Now, the mallard is a common species, and I think we'll start trotting on because they've all duck disappeared. Now, the male has a bright green shiny head, a yellow bill. A bill, of course, is the other word for beak. I will use both terms. And a brown chest. It has a paler underside. Ooh! Maroon and pale wings with a bright blue patch outlined in white and black. The female is a mottled brown with a brown and yellow bill. So unfortunately, when it comes to ducks, the females, I believe, got the short stick. The men have the fabulous colours, and the ladies are a mottled brown. Hello, darling. Now, of course, mallards are the most expected type of duck. If you saw a duck, you would, or rather, if you thought of a duck, you might think of a mallard, or you might think of those little lovely white ducks that we just saw there, which are very much, as I think Mike said, along the lines of what you might expect from a farmyard duck, if indeed you frequent farmyards. Now, a bit of a news flash, ducks don't have teeth. And some of you may know that, because if you've ever taken a photograph of a duck smiling, you will of course recall that they didn't show their teeth. So they use their beaks to catch their food. Oh, look, you can see a lot of bird down here. And the reason for that is because ducks can't actually produce enamel. Which, of course, is what you need for your teethies. Now, what I'm going to do is this is the cafe, and we're going to bypass it. But as you can see, you would have a lovely view if you chose to come here and have something to eat, all the way across the lakes. Now, just going to walk past the visitor centre. Not visitor centre, well, it is a visitor centre, kind of cafe visitor centre. I'm not sure there's much in it. I haven't actually been in there. I'm not sure there's a whole display. Now, ducks don't have teeth, but what they do have is rows of thin bristles in their mouths which filter out nutrient particles to get those out of the water. Now, they're also there to strain out inedible debris, mud, etc. Now, these comb-like structures are along the edge of ducks' beaks, and they are called, now this is interesting because I googled this, as you know I like to work out how things should be pronounced. Lamella, lamellae. And I watched a video of how to pronounce lamellae, and they gave two pronunciations, and a lady who was called lamellae or lamella said, "I'm so pleased that now people will be able to pronounce my name properly." And I was more befuddled than I had started, so I'm not sure that anybody would know how to pronounce her name better. However, of course, as somebody whose name often gets pronounced wrong, I completely understand, because my name is Leonie, because it has a cute accent, and a lot of people call me Leonie. A cormorant on the floaty thing, I have no idea, Mike, I'm afraid. Now, these lamellae are actually made of keratin, which is the same material as its beak. And I think some of you will know that when they're advertising shampoo, I believe they have added keratin. Oh, somebody's lost their gloves, look. So next time you look at a shampoo and it says it's got added keratin, just think of it as having a little bit of extra duck beak. I think that's the floaty thing you're talking about. Are you talking about the ball? I'm going to see if I can do something about this bag. This is a logistical feat, so hopefully that will work. If it doesn't work, we'll just put up with the bag falling down every 5 seconds. Oh, the big orange floaty thing. Oh, I see what you mean. That big orange floaty thing. Right, well, we'll try it, but if it all goes wrong, it's Mike's fault. No, it's not. It's not doing any zoomage. I think it's on YouTube directly that you can zoom. But I can certainly see some black things. And if you say they're cormorants, then they're cormorants. But quite frankly, their names might be Jeff and Mabel, who knows? Now these little comb-like structures are also used to preen their feathers, so a way of making themselves look duck-tastic, ready for the duck ball. However, fossil evidence from the Jurassic period shows that ducks did once have teeth, but of course they've adapted to no longer require them. Now, ducks constantly graze or forage, and one of the first signs of a sick duck is actually when they stop feeding. And they eat grasses, aquatic plants, fish, insects, small amphibians, worms and small mollusks. Not the sort of thing that I would like to be served, but fortunately I'm not a duck. Now, it's really important that they eat their food in bite-sized portions, as they don't actually chew their food. Now, their food is ground into smaller pieces in a digestive organ called a gizzard, and it uses grit and gravel that they've swallowed to rub against hard food items, and that breaks it down into smaller pieces so their digestion can continue. Now, there's been, over the recent years, a little bit of controversy about feeding bread to birds. And having done a bit of research, I can see that the UK Canals and River Trust now lists 5 reasons why feeding bread to ducks is bad. Now, ducks need a varied diet. Bread doesn't have much nutritional value, but it is filling. So they become full up, and what they're not doing is foraging for the foods that they usually would, which is leading to malnutrition. Uneaten soggy bread can cause a build-up of bad nutrients, which leads to more algae growing, more disease, and they wrote more pests with brackets rats, but I quite like a ratty. But I do understand their point. You don't necessarily want to set the buffet table for a rat. And this is an interesting one, which of course makes complete sense. Throwing bread can create unnatural overcrowding of bird populations, meaning that they all flock to the same place. Well, too many ducks or waterfowl in one place stresses the birds and leads to the habitat being damaged. So if you imagine all of the birds constantly clambering over the same space and the damage that that does. And obviously the aggression from too many birds. Now, pleasantly, they say, this also amounts to large numbers of bird droppings, which are not only smelly, but also slippery underfoot. And that can reduce the water quality and indeed clog the waterways with harmful algae. So now we know that bread's a bit of a no-no. What should we be feeding them? Well, they recommend feeding sweet corn, which could be tinned, frozen or fresh. What I would suggest is you need to defrost it first. You need to take it out the tin first. And maybe I should look more where I'm walking, because that's a rather interesting. Is that mares? Is that ants? I say. Now they also suggest rocket, kale, iceberg lettuce, frozen peas, again defrosted. Don't go down with a nice bag of bird's eye. Flapjacks, rolled or instant porridge oats, bird seeds, now there's a thought, or seeds from supermarkets. So of course you can go into the supermarket and there'll be a range of seeds. Cooked or uncooked rice. It's an absolute no to junk food or crisps, popcorn hulls or kernels, because they are hard for ducks to digest and can become lodged in their throat. Cornflakes and other cereals, because they have very little nutritional value and are high in sugar and other additives. Citrus fruits, and this was an interesting one, because I can't imagine why anybody would go down to a lake and start throwing an orange, a lemon or a lime, but there you go. Or other high acid fruits such as mango or pineapple, as they can cause digestive issues, which isn't really a shocker, isn't it? This is where the wildflower meadow would be, but of course at the moment we just have a doggy running very, very fast. No digestive biscuits, I'm fairly sure, probably are full of sugars. And again, it's all about the nutritional value, isn't it? Remember once when I went to see a kitten, they'd been feeding them on digestive biscuits. Really not probably giving them those vitamins that they need. Now, spinach can interfere with calcium production. Onion and related vegetables can cause vomiting and diarrhea as well as anemia, leading to respiratory illness. Avocados, and it's very interesting to find out how they would even know this, are poisonous to birds, particularly ducks, and cause respiratory failure. They recommend if ducks show no interest in the food to stop, because if they leave the food, that'll go off and attract bugs. Now, I've been to a couple of local parks, and what they have done is actually sold little doodahs of birdseed. Now, the interesting thing is, of course, is that you then become with a dependency. So the birds become expectating. That's a shocking word that I think I've made up. They then expect food from humans, so they become less wary of people. And of course, you still end up with that habitat destruction that we've spoken about. And what we have to remember is that these are wild birds. So they say, do it rarely. But of course, depending how many people are going to a park, very rarely could still mean quite a lot. So as with all these things, it's very confusing to know what to do for the best. So all I've brought to feed these ducks today is my words. And I hope you're enjoying the views, because it looks so tranquil. And this water is really quite clear, as you can see. You can see right down to the bottom. And the reflections are fairly wonderful. Now, a few duck species have adapted to catch and swallow large fish, but I don't think we're talking a killer whale proportion. Now let's talk a bit about duck romance, shall we? Now, ducks generally only have one partner at a time, although their partnership generally only lasts a year. Now, larger species, or those which are more sedentary, can have pair bonds that last several years. Grass snake. Oh, that's fun, isn't it? Let's hope we don't meet one of those. Hello, doggy.
We'll take more than they...
Now, they breed once a year. They make a nest before they breed. And after hatching, they lead them to water. Now, mother ducks are very caring and protective of their young, but they may abandon some if they get physically stuck. So, for example, if they were hatched in a courtyard where they can't actually get out, or if they don't thrive, sadly. And that could be down to a variety of reasons. That could be due to genetic defects, sickness such as hypothermia, starvation or disease. And unfortunately, if a duckling hatches late, then it can be left behind by its parents. Now, they don't actually eat for the first 24 hours as they're still absorbing the nutrients from the yolk inside the egg that they hatched from. Oh, Dawn's saying all writing is backwards for me. Is it like that for everyone? Well, there you are. There's a challenge for you all, isn't it? As long as my words aren't wards back. Now, the female mallard lays about 8 to 13 eggs, and they're creamy white to a greenish buff. They're spot free, and she can lay every 1 to 2 days. Now, there's an incubation period of 27 to 28 days. The fledgling period, which is the time that between they hatch and they're capable of flight, is 50 to 60 days. And that they can swim as soon as they hatch, which is fairly remarkable. Now, filial imprinting, which I'm sure some of you already know about, compels the ducklings to stay near their mother, and that's for a few reasons. That's for warmth, protection, to learn about and remember their habitat, as well as how and where to forage for food. So you may have seen some YouTube videos where a duckling is imprinted onto another animal. I believe there's one where a cat actually was looking after the ducklings. Now, if a nest or a brood fails, some mallards will mate a second time, or they may breed during the autumn if it's unusually warm weather. And that reminds me of the hedgehog tour, when we were talking about hedgehogs obviously breeding later in the year, and of course the impact that will have on the survival rate. Now, mallards crossbreeding with the indigenous species can actually lead to their extinction, because of course what you're doing is creating a mixed breed, and the original indigenous species then are no more. And actually there are masses of mallards. Now, the lifespan of a mallard is about 5 to 10 years, but obviously that would depend on predators, and that could be humans for their food or foxes. And of course now we have avian flu. Well, she's showing me up then, isn't she? Now, female mallards, as well as other species, have classic quack sound. The males make a similar but raspier sound, so a little bit deeper on the quack. But most species don't actually quack. They make a range of calls, which include whistles, cooing, grunts and yodeling. It actually says yodels, but I just like the thought of ducks going loo-loo-hoo-hoo. And it's an urban myth that duck quacks don't echo. They do. Oops. Oops. And of course there's quite a few cartoon ducks. Popular would be, of course, Daffy Duck. Of course you remember Elmer Fudd with his duck season, rabbit season. I wouldn't say it's blowing a gale, but it is a little bit windy. Donald, thank you. Daffy Duck, Donald Duck, Daisy Duck. And of course, I'm not sure if this went across the pond, but I used to watch DuckTales. Be very, very quiet. It is duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season. It's amazing. I was writing my Christmas cards. Well, I didn't actually, I think I wrote two. But anyway, I wrote one and I couldn't for the life of me remember the other half of a friend of mine. But I can remember what I watched about 35 years ago. How is that helpful? Huey, Dewey and Louie. I know everybody's probably got their favourite duck. I had an ex who his parents lived in a very large house, and they had a big pond, and they had ducks, and she used to call them the girls. She'd open the patio doors and call for them, girls! And of course, they would come in. She did draw the line at them coming into the house, but of course they did try once or twice, I believe. Let's see what other species they're advertising here. Oh, the water vole. Cute! Well, I'm fairly sure, Mike, if they had gone into a house, they would not have been litter trained. Well, Dawn, you say that it would be nice to have your own pond, but I did look at a house and it did have a pond, and I would have had to have completely filled it in because I would have been so worried, trying not to laugh here, so worried about the cats falling in. And of course, if you end up with things like frogs, then you just end up with frogs being brought in the house. There's a dog onesie, I believe. Ah, that's what you mean. The writing is backwards on the posters. Sorry, I thought you meant the chat. So you don't mean the chat is backwards. You mean the writing on the... Ah, I see. I see. It all becomes clear. It's clear as mud. I feel very much that we are in Twin Peaks territory then, if the writing is reversed. I don't know why, it just gives me that kind of vibe. Hello, Cheryl. Unfortunately, I can't use the other solution that is being suggested because I do not set up my tours on a laptop. I do them on my my phone. I'm glad to know that I did think when you were talking the writing was backwards, I did think indeed that you meant the chat. So this tour obviously will be going on until it ends, and then it'll be made private because I'm doing a premiere for those who couldn't make it, and I think I've set that for Wednesday evening. So we can all sit and watch it back, and then I'll know exactly what you mean about the backwards. Yeah, Ginny, everybody has different options, but we all hear different feedback, so shall I tell you about the car drama? So it was actually on Wednesday night, and I'd wrapped a present for a friend, and I thought to myself, rather than leave it in the car and forget about it, I would put it in the boot. See how organised I am. So I went out and I clicked my little car remote, and nothing happened. So I clicked my car remote again, and unfortunately nothing happened again. So I probably clicked it a few times. Then I went into the house and I looked at how to replace the battery on your car remote, and then I went back out again, and I realised, of course, while watching one of these videos, that there was indeed a key in my car remote. So I thought to myself, well, goodness gracious me, let's do it like old school. And I opened the car and I put the car key into the ignition, and unfortunately the car did not start. So at that point I realised, oh dearie me, I have a flat battery. Now on the previous Sunday, I had gone down to Guildford for a family get-together, pre-Christmas family get-together. It'd been a horrendous journey going down, and my brother had found this pub, which seemed to be quite good, and had a table for enough of us. There was about, I don't know, 10 or something, and 12, who knows. And however, I had got a message just before I got there saying, oops, didn't realise there's no parking, here's a car park. Well, the car park was a nightmare to park in, and I ended up having a bit of a meltdown trying to reverse the car into a space and then work out what to do. And my sister came out to provide some much needed support after I'd actually parked. And I gave her a hug and thanked her for her support. And then I apologised because as I had wrapped my arms around her, I'd actually rubbed red lipstick all over a white top. So on the way back, the journey had been pretty much as bad as it was going. Stop, start, you know. Took me a while to get back, so I declared in the family chat that I was never doing that again. Got my stuff out the car, saw I think I would only say a little bit of a flash of light, and I thought to myself, oh, well, that's strange. That reminds me of when I left my interior light on and the battery went flat. But anyway, wasn't still on. So then, of course, this all came flooding back to me, and I thought, lordy, lordy, I think the battery needs a bit of a restart. Well, that's okay. I've got cover. So I'll phone them up. The problem is it's 20 to 10 at this point. I am super tired. And may I say, a little bit grumpy. So I phoned up and I spoke to a lady, and I explained to her that when I'd gone to my car, the remote didn't work. And I think the battery needed restarting. So she logged the call and she said, well, somebody will be with you about 60 to 90 minutes, but I'll call you back shortly to advise when. Okay, tickety-boo. Well, About half an hour went by and I thought, this is ridiculous. I'm going to go to bed, but I'm going to leave it on. If anybody calls me, it'll ring, because I don't want to miss that call. 2 a.m. the phone rang, and it was a chap who said to me, did you still need a call out? Well, funnily enough, it hasn't fixed itself. Yes, I do. He said, it's just that unfortunately we don't cover lockouts. I said, well, I'm not locked out of my car. He said, oh, the agents put it down as a lockout. I said, well, I'm not locked out. I can get into the car won't start. He said, well, I can log another call for you. And I said, do you mean that will be another 60 to 90 minutes wait? He said, yes. I said, it's 2 a.m. in the morning. I am not going to lie here waiting for somebody. So I wasn't a very happy bunny. I don't normally speak to people at 2 o'clock in the morning. And it'd taken such a long time to even log the call in the first place, because she asked for so much information. She then went off to check I had an MOT and tax. It felt like they were trying to do anything to get out of actually coming out to fix the car. I believe I may have actually said that to her at the time. Pardon you. And so I had a massive meeting I couldn't miss on the Thursday. So I had a bit of a nightmare sleep, but eventually realised somebody lived quite near me, gave me a lift. Friday, I thought to myself, let's embrace the day. And I called them up at 8 o'clock and I said, right, this is what happened on Wednesday night. I really need my car fixed. Right, he said, okay, which garage do you want it taken to if we can't start it? I said, well, I don't know. He said, well, if you don't have a name of a garage, when they get there, if they can't start it, they'll leave you. It was like, but that's ridiculous. How would I know? And no garages are actually open at the moment. He said, no. He said, no, I can see your nearest garage doesn't open until 8:30. So this is all going really well. So at 8:30 I rang. I looked into batteries and quite frankly found more information than I needed in respect of car batteries. Rang back, booked somebody. They said, okay then. Somebody will be out at 11:18, which was rather precise. Marvellous, 11:18. I won't be naming and shaming on a public stream, but more than happy if you want to DM me. And I thought, I'm going to go in the shower, because if they're saying 11:18, well, that's a good hour and a half away. I absolutely can't be caught short in the shower. So that's probably not the right expression, but anyway, had a shower, came out, sat on the sofa, and I saw a van pull up. I thought, can't possibly be, it's only 10:37. And sure enough, opened the door, yep, no, it's the chap. Oh, splendid. I said, well, actually, I don't have an issue with you being early. You know, that's actually probably quite handy. So he gets his kit out. And bear in mind that the chap at 8:30 had said to me, they're only simple roadside engineers, which I thought was a little bit insulting. What he actually meant was they're roadside engineers who have to pay for certain kit, which means to actually do a battery check on my machine isn't a piece of kit that he has, because he would have to buy it himself. What he has is, he has something that would do a boost to a battery that only needs a small boost, or he has something that would start it from the beginning if it was completely empty. So he got his one that would start a battery from empty, because he said it's got 0.03 on it, which is basically nothing really left. So I was like, oh, okay, fine. Well, see if you can start it. And, oh, this hasn't happened before. There's a little warning light. Well, I don't know what that means. He said, well, I've never read the manual. So I thought, today's getting better than better. So what I ended up doing was, I ended up Googling the manual for this chap. I'm going to be quiet now while we have a look at some bird activity. And you can all think about everything I told you earlier. I think it's brown. But yeah, so let's get back to the story. So had a look and I said, well, it says reverse polarity, which of course on a battery, and I thought, well, that can't be right. He said, that can't be right. I said, well, I mean, I've no idea really. So he turned them round and of course it did nothing. So then he tried his other one, which really only would work if there was some battery left in there, and that strangely didn't work. So basically he turned around to me and said, I think it's dead. I said, okay, then right, so you'll tow me to the garage. He said, well, the thing is, we're short-staffed today and I've only brought the bite size. I've only brought the van. Well, that's splendid. So what do we do? So he said, well, I could call and get the recovery truck. And he phoned the office and he said, well, you know, we could just replace the battery. But of course I haven't got the battery. So I phoned up my garage. I said, look, the story is that he's come round. He can't tow me to the garage. Where would you get your batteries from? So he told me. So I go upstairs to get myself ready to go out into the big wide world, and I come back out and his boss isn't happy and says he can't do that. So I'm not going to go any more detail other than the fact that we then drove to the parts shop, picked up a battery, came back, and he started replacing the battery. Now, while he's taking the old battery out, there was this blue little powder that had gone on to the drive. And I was like, right, okay, I want to clear that up. So I thought, while he's doing that, I'll go in to the house. And normally I would take my boots off in the hall, but, you know, it's been a stressful morning. So I walked into the kitchen. Of course, my boots are wet. I slipped and nearly fell on my bottom. So that was amusing, but, yep, carry on going. And then suddenly I hear the car alarm going off. So then I decided to go back outside and turn off the car alarm. And batteries fitted, fabulous. Of course, absolutely nothing in writing that I've had a new battery fitted, but he seemed like a nice enough man. And there are so many birds here. So many birds full of bread. And of course, there's two amusing things that happened is, as he'd said to me, we'll go to the shop. As I got in the van, I said, my car keys are lying on the roof of the car. He said, oh yes, I forgot to pick those up. I said, that's fine, I'll go and get them. And I had already made a bit of a faux pas, because I'd said to him when we were talking about going to get this battery, I said, we'll go and pick the battery up and you'll be able to fit it. And of course he looked at me as if I was slightly deranged and pointed out that we wouldn't have the car. So as I got into the van, I did declare that we had one brain cell between us. He was a very nice man. And that was the drama of my car battery. If anybody had a bird phobia, I think now would be the time to switch off. What I would say is it wasn't one of the big names. You know what it's like. You look online and you go, gosh, they're a lot cheaper, I'll do that. And then you go, that might be why. I've got the premium service, but it still turned out to be an absolute nightmare. But I'm not going to comment anymore, because otherwise I could end up with legal action talking about a company I'm quite sure none of you have even heard of it. Aren't they beautiful? And you can see the aggression and overcrowding that I spoke about earlier. And what will happen now is that these birdies, some of them may have some bread in their tummies, and may decide not to forage for all those nutritious snacks. I did actually pay those people to do that. I didn't, of course. And that really is the end of the tour, my loves. That's the ducks, that's the battery. And this is Leybourne Lakes in December. Have you got any questions? I remember somebody asked about the Royal British Legion village. That isn't that close. But it's basically the Royal British Legion looks after veterans from the, I imagine it'll be for any of the armed forces, and they would be obviously retirement places for them, or supportive living. I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure if you Google it, it'll give you all the information, but that's probably it in a nutshell. The Royal British Legion, of course, sell poppies every year for Remembrance Sunday and are a charity. Thank you very much for anybody who sent me a tip. I know that Catherine and Mike had actually even tipped me before I started. So thank you for that. That was very kind. I hadn't even delivered the tour. So I'm just glad I didn't fall in the lake. Hello, Mr. Swan. Oh, sorry, Mrs. Swan. I actually have no idea. The next time I come back to Leybourne Lakes, we will, of course, talk about the swans. So I hope you've all enjoyed it. And I may see some of you again on Wednesday when I do the YouTube premiere. I will show a little bit more swan action. Yes, if you like the video, please like the video. And actually, what I should say is if you really enjoyed it, please do put a comment, a post in Leonie on Tour, my Facebook group, or indeed Together Virtually, so that people then will join me on the Wednesday. And sometimes you ask what you can do to support me, and in addition to obviously sending the little tippy tips. And one of those would be liking or commenting on any of my Facebook posts, because then Facebook thinks, gosh, this is a really interesting post, we're going to make sure more people see it. And for those of you who really like what I do, I have a monthly membership, which means you get access to previous tours on YouTube. And we have a monthly catch-up, which is a virtual meeting, and I'll be scheduling one of those for the end of the month, I think. Oh, Mr. Swan, what are you chomping? So beautiful. And so very, very likely to peck me if I get too close. I think that's leaves and sticks and, oh, it's a little bits of soggy bread. Little bits of soggy bread, is it? Is that a bit of soggy bread? Is that a bit of soggy bread? Shall I push that across for you, Betty? Did that better for you? Is that better for you? Oh, don't do that. Oh. And on that note, I'm going to say ta-ra. Ta-ra! And we're going to stop the stream in 3, 2, 1.